Welcome to Eye on the Illini. This is Mike Cagley here with Brad Sturdy, Kedric Prince. We're going to talk, we're going to do a couple things tonight. We're going to talk the top five shooting guards of all time at the University of Illinois, at least of our memory. And then we're also going to talk Superman, as we've all seen the movie at least once since it opened Thursday night. The first thing I got to say, guys, is I'm going to officially whine one time. I do not think Terrence Shannon Jr. is a two guard, but since Illinois lists him as a guard, I'm going to acquiesce and we will rank him that way. Brad, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it started because I put him as a two guard.
Yes, it did start. You caused all this.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah, you did.
So it's my fault. I have broad shoulders. I'm okay with it. So
I still think he's a three-man. I do. I still think so, looking at that team, but it's whatever, man. We're just going to roll with it. At least I will tonight.
Yep. So let's get to the rankings. I think I'm really kind of excited, I guess, to see, where everybody had their guys, and it's going to be really a lot of fun to kind of see who goes where. Of course, Larry, we give him a vote just because he's a anchor man and he has to get the news right. He's not on right now, but we'll let him.
He is Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, exactly.
Larry Ron Burgundy Smith.
Yes, yeah. I'm Larry Smith. Who put a question mark at the end of the sentence?
I'm Larry Smith. Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get this started, and we will go the fifth, number 5. Brad, you had Kevin Turner, so why don't you talk a little bit about?
Didn't I switch that? I think I switched that.
Did you switch that?
I think I texted you and switched that.
Did you really? Man, I gotta check my.
Pretty sure. I require you to pay attention.
Palm Pilot, baby. You gotta check that Cat Williams Palm Pilot.
Who the heck did you have there then?
Let's see.
Yeah, I gotta look.
Said.
This, by the way, is just riveting podcasting, folks.
Podcasting stuff. I think I put Corey Bradford in there. Right?
Bradford.
Didn't I? Yeah, but okay, let's just go with Kevin Turner, because why not?
Right.
Hey, what the heck? So no, I thought Kevin Turner, he was Corey Bradford 5th. See right there. See, that's what it says right there. See?
All right.
See right there. I'm putting it on the screen.
We're gonna do this on the fly.
But it's fine. So here's the thing. Kevin Turner, for those of you who don't know how good he was, especially that one year, he was just fantastic. I mean, they could not. Lon Kruger ran him off so many screens that, and he would just find ways to knock down shots. He could use those. It was just fantastic watching him run some just simple but well executed sets and get everything done. He was such an elite scorer for that season. But then I started thinking, Corey Bradford, the success of that team, going to, him being such a big part of kind of a resurgence there from 99 to 2001 too, and just how Illinois was so good during his time period, making the Elite Eight. So I kind of was toying between those two guys, but either way, I think either one, you could go either way. So I was torn, obviously, but I thought Turner was fantastic.
Okay. All right.
For me, I'm just going to spoil it right away. Kevin Turner didn't make my list, so I can't go wrong with Brad. But I remember Brad. I don't know, Mike, maybe you remember this. I remember one night they went to UCLA, and Kevin Turner just lynched them with 33, 35 points. He was underrated because he got better and better, and he wasn't your typical 4 or 5 star recruit, but he got better and better. But I want to give Brad credit for that. My reason for picking Brandon Paul, when you look at the University of Illinois and what Brandon Paul has done for them, I can't take away, that he can score the basketball, he can put in the hoop. He's the 10th leading scorer in the history of the school. following some legends, but he wasn't flashy to me, but you can't take away 1,600 points. You just can't. I mean, I remember a couple of great games. They went out and played Gonzaga, with Call Me on the Phone. And then I think he torched Ohio State for 43 one night or something like that. He has to be on the list to me. When I do my list, I don't like analytics, but stats don't lie. 1,600 points, and he could score. I mean, he was electric at times. But I don't know how. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what the rest of this list look like, to see if he's on everybody else's list. But to me, he deserves to be in the top 5 because of his scoring ability, and he put up some big games. Big numbers.
Yep. And Trent Frazier was there by Larry, and certainly we all remember the heroics that Trent Frazier had, and he did take it up another level on his defense too. There was definitely
Well, how about Trent's games at Michigan that one year? He just went up there, game winners. It's all about just dominated at the end. So that was fun. Big shots.
One of my best memories of Trent, I don't remember what year it was, fellas, was when he went off against Missouri. He couldn't
awesome.
miss. You remember that night? He couldn't miss. Trent was awesome that night. So I get that, but and I don't know. I'm really curious to see if he makes everybody's list. Not just because he helped resurrect the program with Iowa, but Trent was tough, man. He could put the ball in the basket when he got going.
Yeah, and that was really why I went with Corey Bradford at number 5. He did do a ton of. He could hit the 3 ball. He was kind of ahead of his time. You wonder what he would have done in today's game, with the way he was focused on that. But again, I thought there was a ton of this was a really hard ranking to do. And as you see when we get done, there's going to be several really good players that are left out.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. I got to say, Trent Frazier, my favorite Trent Frazier moment, just going back to that, was they played Arizona at home, and I know they lost the game, but it wasn't his fault because nobody that he guarded scored the entire game.
Yeah.
Like whoever he was guarding didn't score. But Kirk Reese or Ben Mathurin, obviously 2 really good players. Yep. Whenever he was guarding them, they couldn't score. But then when he wasn't guarding them, they went off. Yeah. And so that was, that's a problem. And so I remember that going through that game. We were talking I think I was talking to Underwood after that game, and he said that nobody scored on him. Like it's the first time he's ever seen that happen. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that was. I still remember you talking about that after the game.
Yeah,
and it was something that we were thinking like, man, he's really played good defense. But then, you as you're watching the game and you're watching the stats pile up, you don't think about, well, yeah, Creasa got that against so and Mathurin got that against another person, and you're like, yeah, he played okay. And then you look at what Underwood pointed out, and you're like, holy cow, that was pretty impressive against that level of team. Yeah, and Frazier was certainly, all these guys had leadership skills. I will tell you, Brandon Paul, his shot selection sometimes would drive me absolutely nuts, and that's why he may not have made my list.
I thought he was sloppy at times too, but you're right.
Oh, his athletic ability was out of this world, but several guys are in that category. So now we had Brandon Paul really makes a showing here. Trent Frazier moves up, and we see Luther head. So, Brad, talk about Brandon, why you had him number 4.
Well, I think Brandon Paul he's a pure shooter, just a scorer. You saw that. I mean, if you go back to that Ohio State game, is legendary, right? I mean, one of the greatest individual efforts I think we've seen for Illinois basketball. He had a lot of game-winning shots. I think there's game-winning shot against Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament, right? A few other times. So, just a really talented player. Had a overseas career. Got a cup of coffee with the Spurs a little bit, I remember. He's just a dynamic scoring guard, a guy who could really put the ball in the basket. I remember, and I go back to, so this is one of those, I watched him before anybody knew about him. So
Right.
like before the, the internet had gone crazy with recruiting. I remember watching him, and I had one of the Illinois assistant coaches says, don't write anything about him until we offer, because everybody, they didn't want everybody to be who's there. They're asking me who's there watching the game, and it's always interesting when you look back at that and you say, who is it? Because they didn't want any high majors there watching him because he was blowing up and doing great things. But yeah, I just thought Brandon Paul, dynamic scorer. I agree with you, Mike. sometimes shot selection was great, but sometimes that was necessary because of, they lacked having that dynamic point guard during his, if they had a great point guard, I think after, McCamey left, they really didn't have anything, last couple of years. Maniscalco got hurt, relied on freshmen and Tracy Abrams, things like that. And probably didn't have the success that, that goes along with, but he was just, he put up great numbers.
Ked, you had Trent there, so let's talk a little bit about Trent.
I don't even know. I guess I should look to see where he ranks for a season. I don't see him anywhere, but I just remember games. Trent came to Illinois when Illinois wasn't good at the time, and they were trying to build a program and turn it around. And I just remember my favorite thing about Trent was when he got on heaters. I really tried to look at the history of Illinois two guards. It's hard to leave him off anybody's top five just because when he went on heaters, he was tough to guard. Being left-handed was tough. I think he had an unbelievable game out in Maui once, I believe. So I mentioned the Missouri game a few minutes ago. Trent, and he eventually learned how to guard. Brad mentioned the Michigan games. When he got going, I mean, there was times when you look at the opposing coaches and just see them just in disgust because they knew he could come down, and he had range. And I one time I didn't go to the Missouri game, and I was sitting at home, and I was being neutral allegedly, but I tell you what, I was giving myself high fives because that kid, when he was just fun to watch when he got going, and I think he'll never probably get his jersey hung in the rafters, but I give kudos to Coach Underwood because he brought him back and he knew how important Trent was. And Trent was just tough. I loved everything about Trent Frazier, even though he's one of the new guys. The three of us about the same age, and we have a lot of history of Illinois basketball. But seeing him on all these lists, to me, tells me that I put him in the right spot.
Well, and I also thought, you guys look at like what he did. He could have gotten out of Dodge with a coaching change. And you wonder, how much harder it would have been for Io without Trent around. And so I was always appreciative that he was there. And I thought that they were quite a duo, and good Lord, defensively, they could hang with just about anybody. Now I picked Luther Head, who again takes his team to one of the guys who took that team to the national championship game. Like Brandon Paul, he was otherworldly athletic. Luther he looked like he could get the top of the bank board, I mean, he could just literally soar. And by his senior year with that jump shot, he was pretty devastating. So, and the athleticism and good defense, just a fun player to have. We'll talk a little more about him as we
Mike,
move.
Hey, Mike, do you mind if I make a comment about Luther Head? So I got to be a negative Nelly. I looked at that roster, and this is me. I'm kind of curious to know what our listeners think and what you guys think. There was that one year, I know Brad said last week that D. Brown won the Cousy Award. But when you look at that roster, Luther Head to me was the three guard. He was the wing. Now, they can all bring the ball up to court. We heard about the three-headed monster. But it was mostly Darren at the 1, D at the 2, and Luther at the 3. That's why I couldn't see myself doing it. And I understand why, because yes, in the NBA he did that. And for me, it was just kind of tough for me to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. There's always going to be one that people will question us on, when there's this many good players. And then Brad, that's why I didn't say too much about Luther, because you of course, that was a team that you were incredibly close to. So talk a little bit about, how you had Luther Head at number 3 and a pretty talented group of players to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good that last year. I just thought, that team, he was the kind of that. He was a little bit overlooked. I know he was first team All Big Ten that year, and he may have made like a third team All American team, I think he was the leading scorer on that team, wasn't he? So in 05. So all that's true, but I feel like, D and Darren were so big, and even Augustine, and but Luther was such a big part of that. I thought he was fantastic. He shot the ball. He made so many threes. He kind of changed the game. That team was like the Warriors before the Warriors were the Warriors, right? I mean, they were running around shooting threes, took advantage of that. They were analytics dream. I just thought Luther, and he defended, he showed toughness, battling through the injury there in the Arizona game was just a huge part of that. I mean, and to be honest, he had probably one Luther head rim out on an open three that I thought was going down all the way from winning a national title in 2005. But I thought Luther was he was really good. And I thought he was the guy that, he was a really important part of that.
And then go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, shoot what you got.
Well, when I look at a guy like Luther, there's no way he can be left off just because I get it. I really and truly understand how consistent he was. And, he was kind of the quiet guy in that group. If you guys think about it, you had D who had all the pizzazz, and James Augustine, and Darren was just solid. But, Luther just did his job. But for me, I had to go with Corey Bradford for a number of reasons. I don't remember. Well, number one, let me start with this. 7th leading scorer in the history of the school was 17,000 points, 1,735 to be exact. And there was a streak that he had. I don't remember how long it was, but there was a streak where he had consecutive 3-point field goals made in the game. I think that was just broken recently by someone, maybe it was somebody by Eastern Illinois. I can't remember, but that was one of the best things to see. Corey was on an unbelievable basketball team, but for him to be able to, how hard that is to knock down a 3-pointer in every single game that you play, especially when teams know that, I use my old school term, that you can make it rain. He was just good at it. And some of these guys, when you look at their history and the numbers, I know he had a great career, but I didn't know the young fella scored 1,700 points. I really didn't. But I just remember how good he was and him shooting the ball from the baseline. And he had one of the prettiest jump shots, not just in Illinois, but in college basketball. I mean, whoever needs a shooting basketball coach, he will be the guy I will call because he has great rotation, good lift on the shot. Even when there's games when he was 0 for 5, 0 for 6 from 3, he never changed anything. That's why I love Corey. And I really think, for me, if the other two guys never played at Illinois, Corey probably would have been a number one for me.
Yeah. But the other two guys were reading. Now, I went old school here. Doug Altenberger, who shot over 40% from the three. Now, he was back a long time ago, but and he was a little bit more of the Domask type of guy, big time physical, could take guys into the lane, but had that deep three long before it was quite the thing it was. And he also played with that torn, and I think by the time his senior year, they may have didn't they maybe even remove his meniscus, and he was playing on just bone on bone. I mean, I just thought he was a heck of a player, and I remember how clutch he was for those Illini teams in the mid 80s. I loved Altenberger, and I think his game, he's another guy who probably would have been a lot better in the modern game because you would have got him open for shots that would give Lou Henson a heart attack that he was taking.
Yeah, it's weird. Wasn't the 3-point line like inside the top of the key at one point during his career?
Yes,
Or was that the early first year? Wasn't it inside? It's bizarre. Yeah. No, Altenberger's great. I really liked Altenberger. I agree with you. I thought he was a really good player. He was more, to me, he was really, really good in his role, but he was never really the, with you had guys like Bruce Douglas, Ephraim Winters, George Montgomery, whoever. I've always felt like he was the kind of a, filled a role. He's a really good role. But I also liked about Altenberger. If you ever watched, okay, here's the weird age thing. If you ever watched Altenberger play when I was really young in high school, he was fantastic. He was such a good high school player too. He was so dominant. Before the kind of the knee injuries, he became a kind of a token 3-point, not really token, but you know what I mean? He became a 3-point shooter more than what he was. He was more than that before he got hurt. But yeah, he was a really good player. I mean, he just wasn't a guy, I guess maybe it's been long enough ago. I've forgotten. Maybe it's my Alzheimer's kicking in, but so I didn't put him on my list. So sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
he was
Sorry,
on
go
mine at one point. He was on mine until we made a couple of changes. And Mike knows I can prove it because he has the text message. But he was on my list at one point in time because he played in the air when
Hey.
until some of these other guys played, he was just it. He was just like the Lone Ranger out there who could really put the ball in the basket.
Yep. But
Yeah.
I think we're all going to be the same at the top, right? Are we all going to be the same with the top two?
No, well, we're going to be same with the top two, but not number one.
Ooh.
Really interesting. Wow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so that's going to
So,
be.
so that means it's either you or Larry. I guarantee you, Brad and I have to have the same pick, man. Come on, Brad. Don't let me down, man.
How much are you willing to put on that one, kid?
Well, then I know who his number one is. Anybody who knows me. But there's some
Let's see.
controversy to that number one. I mean, there is.
But we also have, there's a little controversy about whether it's, go ahead and show number twos. Go ahead and show number twos.
Hold on a minute. I just want to point out that Bill Moe, who is one guy that I'm now considering a real expert, he's talking about how Doug, if he would have had his entire his entire career, he would be number one. So I'm thinking Bill's a pretty smart guy.
Yep.
Although I don't know if the Bills really thought through all of this.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look at number 2. And I think this may surprise some people because we are split.
Look at that list, baby.
That's some talent there.
Yep.
Woo! Man.
Brad, so Shannon
here's
Jr.
my
had
thing.
the best year of all time.
I said that. I told you guys that. I said if we're going 1 year, my pick would be Terrence Shannon Jr. But Kendall Gill in his other year was maybe arguably, that year before he got hurt, they were undefeated, right? And so, I think it's conceivable to say, and that's who as we see, those are going to be the top two. That's why for his whole career, and then next year he still averaged 20 points a game. But yeah, I think Terrence Shannon his year was, with everything that he went through, the way he was able to dominate that year was just insane. His performance in the Big Ten tourney in the first couple rounds against NCAA was otherworldly. So if somebody has Terrence Shannon 1, I'm not going to argue with them. But I go back to, Kendall Gill was 5th pick in the draft, right? And became really scored a lot of points in the NBA too.
Ked, you got Kendall Gill number 2.
Well, so for years, and you can look at this white beard I have grown here for years, until Terrence Shannon came, and I'm spilling the beans. Kendall Gill was number 1. He held that spot to me for my entire life. And when you look at him on his numbers, he doesn't knock down, he doesn't pass the eye test, but he was just good. Part of it was, like what I mean by that, career points. He's not in the top 10. Single season, I don't see him in the top 10. Single game, I don't see his name listed there, but that tells you how good he was. And like Brad mentioned, I think he was drafted 5th in the country, but Kendall had arguably one of the top 3 or 4 NBA careers of Illinois men's basketball of all time. Kendall was just special, and he got better. I remember when he came in, he was a scrawny little kid with no hair. His body filled out. I liked him so much when I was younger. He'd always wear that wristband on his left wrist. I grew up for the rest of my life, even when I was in college, playing with that wristband on my left wrist. That's how much I respected him. I liked him as a player. I just think he was outstanding. He was an outstanding team, and Mike was able to send us a really nice picture of him dunking in our group text. But I think that picture, Mike, you may have sent, may have been on cover of Sports Illustrated or something, I think.
That was the one that was Mark Jones, who we had on Eye on the Illini a couple of years ago. He sent me that as one of his pictures because Mark spanned decades for the Illini, and that just shows you the athleticism that Gill has. That people, let's face it, he could even go into the boxing ring.
Yeah,
he could.
True.
Yes, definitely.
I'm not at 6 foot.
I think who was the Tim? He was gonna. I want to see him box Tim Doyle. Oh wait, we did. That's right.
Well, all I know is.
I remember that.
All I know is his ability to those long arms. I would not want to try to get inside of his jab because that would be like 7 years. He could punch
Yeah.
about 17 times before you get into that. And now we're going to go, obviously, now we'll see the number one. And if you can't figure this out as a viewer, probably shouldn't be an Illini Guy subscriber. But there we are. Now, Brad, you had Kendall over Terrence. I was with you, and I did it for one reason, because I think they're both stellar players. Both would be amongst the top 5 Illini of all time. And I just went with, more years with Kendall versus Terrence. That's it. Just more years.
Yeah, and that was my thing too. I agree with you. I thought if I just had to pick the best season, I would probably go with I would have gone with Terrence Shannon. And this is one of those things again. And so Bill Moe talks about I don't think TSJ counts more as a shooting guard anymore than Nicoretti. Well, obviously, if you look at the way they were used, a little bit different. I mean, the way Terrence was used in ball screens, where Terrence was shooting threes, and his plethora of perimeter activity, and also where he guarded. He guarded point guards and two guards. So how he was used now. So I don't know. That's where he's playing in the NBA too, and that's where he's listed as a guard. So you can. That's just what we went with. Where they're listed at.
Well, Mo, I'm going to be honest with you. When Mike first asked us about this list, Terrence Shannon was not listed as a 2 guard by me. He wasn't. And it took me to make 2 phone calls to 3 phone calls, and 2 responded. Very influential people who knew more than the 3 of us on this podcast what position he played. And so I sent the group text out. Yeah, he's a 2 guard. Me personally, I thought he was a wing on that team. I thought Ty Rogers played the 1. I thought the booty ball master of all time, Marcus Domass, played the 2 because he played 1, and Terrence played the 3, but that's not it. And for me, why he was number 1, it's, again, I'm showing my age here. I love the 2005 team, and the 89 team to me will always just truly and truly be special to me. That team, in my basement, I'm going to show this. Back in the 80s when we had VHS tapes, because you couldn't record everything, you had all this memory box. I literally, in my basement, have every single basketball game that was ever played by the 1989 team on VHS tapes sitting in my basement. That's how special that group was to me and what I think of them as players. But then this dude named Terrence Shannon Jr. came along, and I'm sorry, man. Those guys were great, and I'm still, because this list is, we're going to do 3 guards, we're going to do 4 and 5s, and I know some of those 89 guys are going to make our list. But what Terrence Shannon did, if Zach Edey, which we've talked about before, wasn't player of the year, and then this freak lady who wanted to decide to just try to lie on Terrence Shannon, he'd have been player of the year in national college basketball. He would have been a runaway with it. And to me, for him, in one season, guys, 736 points, and he missed 6 games. I mean, and then he was electrifying doing it. He could dunk, he could defend. 736 points is a lot to me in one season. I'm just really sorry. And then he scored 40 points. And then you look at that Big Ten run, and then what he did in the NCAA tournament. Terrence Shannon to me was a special one. I always said nobody would ever replace that 89 group of guys until Terrence did. Not only is he a top shooting guard, to me he's one of the top 5 players ever played in the school. That's just how high I rank him as a player. That kid was special.
I mean, there's nothing there that I could argue with. Brad, did you have any? Well, other than as much as I hate to say it, but I still don't know that anybody was going to pass up Zach Edey.
No,
that year. But other than that, I agree.
No, Edey was going to be. I think he was second in the games to without the off the court stuff. He was second in the National Player of the Year at that time.
Yeah.
He was second in the Big Ten Player of the Year behind Edey. He was great. I thought Terrence Shannon was great. Just a fantastic player, one of the best players to ever suit up in orange and blue that year. Just dominant. It's hard to understand, how good he was, but until you watch an NBA Summer League game, when he makes it look so easy in those NBA Summer, and you're wondering, why don't they play him? But hey, that's a saga for a different podcast.
Yeah, that's a
And
different
if you guys think about it, when he came in, Brad, wasn't he a 3-star recruit? He was, maybe he was a 4-star, but point being, this guy, we're talking about being one of the top players in the history of Illinois basketball. And he was just, in high school, he was okay. I remember when he was on his visit to Illinois, and I think it was the same weekend as E.J. Liddell. Nobody even cared who Terrence Shannon really was. Everybody wanted E.J., if I remember correctly.
Oh, Oscar, all three of them were on campus. I was there.
Yep.
Oscar Sheboy, E.J. Liddell, and Terrence Shannon were on campus. All three assistants had a recruit on campus. Shin had Terrence, and then O had Sheboy, right? And then Jamal had EJ Liddell. Yep, Jamal Walker. Yeah,
that's back in the day when I had my ladies groove game on.
I watched those dudes work out. Woo.
What's that?
I watched those dudes work out. It's impressive.
Yeah, I was there that weekend, one of those weekends. It was a very impressive weekend, and I think I remember that same weekend. Illinois women's basketball had Bree Bill there. It was a really special weekend.
She was there. Bree Bill was there on the other side of Ubben as well.
See, I remember being there because I was talking to all those moms, man. I was trying to convince them. It didn't work, man. But I basically got Shannon.
I was going to ask you how the mom whisperer didn't work that weekend.
Nope. I got her there eventually.
It was early. He was perfecting his craft at that time, Brad. He hadn't.
It took him. He was playing the long game. It took him like 4 years.
Yeah. He wasn't so irresistible in those days. He was just. He was just Ked. Just Ked. He was not the mom whisperer at that time. But we were really close, and you got to wonder, boy, that would have been a nice weekend to go 3 for 3 or 4 for 4.
Oh, yeah, it would have been. That was a really good. That was a really good weekend. The Ubben was packed.
Now, Bill Moe, this will probably be a comment more for our next episode, but he said, Eddie Johnson's the best Illini I've seen, and I can see that. But if you talk to Eddie, and we did have him on Eye on the Illini, if you ask him the one player who was better than him, he'll actually say it was Mark Smith. And if it wasn't for
from a pure talent standpoint, Mark Smith was amazing. It just never really
just some demons that made life hard for him.
Yep.
Yes.
But he was so talented, such a talented player. But yeah, Eddie was great. I'm not going to argue with Bill Moe. I think Eddie is right there on the list of one of the 5 greatest Illini. So
yeah, and you got Nick Anderson that's going to be going head to head with him. Like I said, Mark Smith could have been there, but some addiction challenges made it hard. That position has some real talent at it, and I thought Terrence would fit there. So, boy, there's a lot of talent out on the wings. So we did go ahead, and we did get the overall rankings. And when you force rank them, it's amazing. But we ended up with these ties exactly like our point guards. But Terrence Shannon Jr., Kendall Gill tied at number 1. Corey Bradford cleared the way for number 3, and Luther and Brandon tied for number 5 there. I guess technically number 4, but so they ended up battling it out. So great opportunity for really a lot of talent out there on the wings. And I think any coach in Illinois history, if you would have said you got to choose between Terrence Shannon Jr. and Kendall Gill at the peak skills, I don't think anybody's going to be particularly sad if they get the second pick.
Yeah, no question.
I just messaged a couple of those guys and showed them where they finished the rankings, that they'll see what they respond back. One guy, I'll be honest with you, Corey Bradford I think he was kind of surprised that he was that high. I think he thinks fans forgot about him.
Corey, we can interview you on Eye on the Illini. All you got to do is DM me at Mike Cagley.
Not just normal fans. We're really old. So,
oh yeah,
really old.
Yeah. It was also nice last time, if you guys saw on Twitter.
Come on.
Yeah, I was impressed with that. I mean, I was happy for him, because some of those guys you forget about.
I'm glad he didn't get. I'm glad he wasn't mad at us.
No, he was pretty positive.
Kwan's still in pretty good shape. I run into him at EYBL, and I don't think you could lip off to him because he's still about as fast as he was
Well,
back in the day.
You still couldn't guard him, Mike.
Well,
It would
I
be no
didn't.
different.
It
It
would
would
be
be no
very
different.
similar. Just lean on him until he got exhausted.
Wear him out like a sumo. Sumo him.
Well, hey, whatever works. That's the way it goes. So anyway, I think, like I said, this is a stacked position. You're going to see a stacked position at the 3, and then there's still going to be some talent at 4 and 5. But boy, when you go the guard and the wings for Illinois, and man, their history has been pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. Yeah. So 3-4 is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to shift gears, folks, because this is the stuff that people really, really tune in for. And that's what we saw at the movies this week. And I had the opportunity to see Superman this week. I went and saw him on Thursday night. I saw it on an XD screen. And then Friday, I took a couple hours off in the afternoon and saw it in IMAX. I've definitely got some thoughts on this. Let's talk about a few things first. Brad, what did you think about the casting, and particularly the 3 leads of Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor?
Okay. So my take was on the casting. I thought it was perfect. I can't imagine them finding a better Lois Lane than Rachel Brosnahan. Not that
I got to be
she's
honest
also
with
very
you.
very easy on the eyes as well. I'm not going to complain about that. But I kept thinking about the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but she was great. I thought Lex Luthor was fantastic. And I didn't know a ton about Superman, David Cornsweet. I didn't know a ton about him, but I thought he played the role excellently. They did it a little bit different. And the one thing I like about Superman, they made him almost more like, how do I say it? Like vulnerable than other Supermans have been. Like, and then I like that he showed that kind of almost human side that maybe we didn't always see.
Not since Christopher
I thought
Reeve.
Henry Cavill was, Henry Cavill, and I thought Henry Cavill was Superman. Like, I mean, he looked like Superman should look, right? The only, there's only one problem with Superman I had in this movie, and Mike and I both agreed on this. But overall, I thought the casting was fantastic. I thought all 3 people really played their role well and really fit. I mean, I could see Rachel Brosnahan sounded like Margot Kidder, didn't she? She even, just sounded like from the original.
But
without
that craziness that Margot had a little bit.
Yes. But the voice, just kind of almost seemed like the same voice. It was like they brought her back a little bit, and then, but then without the kind of craziness, but still had the fun part of it too. So it was good. I love the casting.
Well, first of all, I love the show. The movie. I thought it was great. And Mike, when you mentioned about going to the IMAX, I told my daughter I kind of wanted to go see it in IMAX because I've seen on social media they said it was better. To me, out of the 3 top leading, the Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex, I think Lex was that's probably the best Lex I've seen in a long time. He was really involved, tactful, just really, really good. That was a really good role played by Nicholas. Not a fan of Rachel playing that role. I'm just not. There's so many other actors. She did a bad job. Just not a fan of her. And I like Henry Cavill. I think he was great, but I know David he'll eventually grow on me because Brad, you took the words right out of my mouth. Henry Cavill, he's just Superman. He looks like Superman. I don't even know why. I was a big Marvels guy more than DC, but DC's growing on me. Why there was some controversy and why he's not there. But out of the 3 guys you guys mentioned, Nicholas was, the winner for me. But I will also say this. You guys talked about Superman being more human. My daughter kind of made a comment. I said, I'm going to say that when we do this podcast. If it wasn't for Mr. Terrific, I'm having a brain cramp with the dog's name, who was one of the most famous people.
Crypto.
They saved him all the time. It's like if they weren't around, would Superman even have lived? It's like they kind of made him too human. Superman's supposed to be the most powerful being in the world. He just kind of weak in that role because he was down and out 2 or 3 times. And, our guy Crypto Arcus saved him. And, I know you mentioned the top 3 guys, but, I'm telling you, Mr. Terrific was plugged for me.
Yeah. Now, I really like Corn Sweat. He channeled Christopher Reeves well. But if you go back and look at the Superman, Henry Cavill, Brandon Routh, Christopher Reeve, I don't know that I can throw rocks at any of them because they're all pretty good, but they all had to deal with some really bad scripts at times. Like Superman 4 was horrific. Superman 3, not much.
That is arguably one of the worst movies of all time.
Yes, when you
Superman
got Richard
4.
Pryor as your bad guy.
Quest for Peace.
Yes, Nuclear Man.
Terrible.
I mean, come on. But and poor Henry Cavill was the most depressed Superman. It's like the optimism that makes Superman so good. I thought Corn Sweat and the script captured really well, and I thought Christopher Reeve did it. And Brandon Routh was actually very good. It just they brought that stupid Lex Luthor of gonna be a land baron back from anyway. But I thought and Rachel Brosnahan did such a good job for me as Lois Lane. I've been in the camp of let's not even have a Lois Lane anymore. We don't need her. And she did such a good job that I actually like, okay, maybe there is some ground to explore with that relationship. And Holt was amazing as Luthor. I think the 2 Luthors that I like the best is the guy from Smallville. He was spectacular as Luthor.
Yeah.
And then Clancy Brown was the guy who did the voice. He did the Highlander. He was the Kurgan in the Highlander, but he did the voice of Lex Luthor in the animated series. And Lex Luthor in the animated series is pretty amazing as well. I enjoyed them, and I thought overall they did a nice job. In terms of supporting characters, there were 3 that stood out to me, and I'm going to rattle a few off, see what you guys think. I thought that Ed and Gathagi, I'm not certain how to pronounce that, as Mr. Terrific was awesome. Now, Terrific is kind of a newer version of the hero. It's because Terrific is an old hero, but he was kind of redone back in the late 90s. I have not read a ton of comics with him, but I thought he was a lot of fun as a brilliant genius, and he wasn't just a repackaged quippy Tony Stark. So I thought that was fun. I thought Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner was hilarious because Guy Gardner in the comics is a real jerk. And he captured that really well. And then they gave him that dumb haircut, which is kind of, again, some stuff that goes in the comics doesn't always work in real life. I thought that was great. And then I'm going to give you another one. And I don't know if many people, but I thought Michael Ian Black as that talk show host was fantastic because he did that being that hyper emotive talk show host. And I thought he moved the plot line of the moving public opinion really well. And I thought he channeled a cross between Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro really well. And I just found when he was on the screen, I wanted to know what he thought about things. And I thought that was pretty good. So those are the 3 supporting characters that really caught my eye. I don't know if you had any, Brad, or not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I thought they were fine. So when I was looking at that, Nathan Fillion was one that really stood out. If you have any comic book, I think some people, if you don't have any comic book background in there, you probably didn't get a lot of the things there with Guy Gardner.
Yep.
But I thought it was good. Mr. Terrific was fantastic. I thought he really filled that role, did a wonderful job there. So I thought there was good things there. The interesting thing the only thing, like from a casting standpoint, I thought from a script standpoint, the one thing I didn't like was there were 2 things I didn't like about the movie out of all things. I liked everything. I love some things, liked everything. There were 2 things I didn't like. And that was, I thought they made the Kents like almost too simple. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Kent, until the last scene, which was great. I loved one of the last scenes with him when he was talking to Clark. I just thought they made him look like almost like he was like really, really dumb and didn't know. I mean, he's like just really off there. I didn't love that. But
speech though, didn't he?
His speech was fantastic, wasn't it?
I was going to say that was awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
But up until that point, you thought he was like, I don't know, he had like 85 IQ or something like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he
Like,
was
I mean, it's like a
his
what are
nickname
we
was
doing?
what? She called him a mush. The
Mush.
Ma
Yeah.
kid called him a
Yeah.
mush. I really don't.
Yeah. So I don't.
I don't want my wife calling me a mush, and she's called me a lot of things, but I don't think
Yeah.
I
So
don't
I
think
don't
she's
know.
ever went that
But
low
anyway,
on me.
so but that would be one of the things I didn't really think was great. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
that would be about it.
I love Bill's comments right now. Can you guys see that? Bill Moles.
Yeah, Bill.
I think that's awesome. Well, for me, like I said, I mentioned Mr. Terrific. You know, I thought he was great. Nathan was okay. I don't know. I just think that he was the Green Lantern or whatever he was supposed to be. The Hawk Girl was kind of underrated too. I like to see all these old characters come back. And what I'm finding now, you know, and I don't want to give all these streaming services free plug here, but a lot of these they're online. Like Mike, you mentioned, there's not a lot out there on Mr. Terrific, and there's one. I may put it on Twitter or text you guys. It's a new series coming out right now. I just started watching it a couple of days ago, where Mr. Terrific has a big role in it. So the animated series right now that you see on TV today, it's great compared to what it was when we were younger back in the day. But you know, for the most part, too, there was nothing I really disliked about it. I guess it was a culture shock to me to seeing the big Superman, and you know, and I know now we're gonna get Rachel the same Lois Lane for the next 4 or 5 years. But if there was anybody on this cast and you know, and the way they wrote it that I really want to see all the time, Lex was just irritating. But the part of the movie where he studied Superman so much by his hair, and when, you know, I don't want to ruin the movie for people that haven't seen it, but when he was fighting, he knew every single punch and which he knew everything about Superman. That's how detailed it was. That was probably the most thorough part of the movie that I did like. Brad mentioned the Kents. That was, I don't know. I'm looking at some of these people, and there's actors out there that I thought could have played the roles a little bit better, but that's just me. And some of them is going to have a hard time to grow on. Perry White didn't have a big role, which I kind of wish he would have. Wendell Pierce played that part, and he was very small in his part.
Yeah, he's got a good series that he's in. I like he's in the Jack Ryan ones.
He's great in Jack Ryan. Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked
he's
him a lot.
really good there. So I enjoy him, and I did like no, "Don't Call Me Chief" because that was like that's like a line of Perry White that
Yep.
we always see. I thought the Jimmy Olsen guy was such a ugly dude that I just don't see how he gets these girls. But hey, good for him. I'll tell you a couple things I thought I liked about it. One is the plot was simple. You know, Lex Luthor doesn't like aliens. He doesn't like the way Superman makes him feel, and he wants to kill him. Okay, that's pretty easy plot. That wasn't really
Yeah.
hard to go through. I like a simple plot, and I love the fact that James Gunn, and this is going to be done in the Fantastic Four the same way. James Gunn made the decision not to do the origin story, which we all know it. And basically, every time we see the origin story, we go, let's see now. Henry Cavill's dad, Jor-El, was Russell Crowe. And then Christopher Reeves was Marlon Brando. So what's this guy going to do, you know? And it was Bradley Cooper, which I thought was hilarious. But I'm glad we didn't have to watch the big origin story again. And so when we talk about things we didn't like, and this is all, you can find all this in my Heat Checks and Hail Marys today, which is out there on the front page of IlliniGuys.com. But as you look at it, the three things I didn't like was one, the middle scene. I thought the Black Ops place was great, but the fight to keep the baby, where he's got to fly through the ion stream or whatever it was and keep the baby above the water, I literally was like, seriously, I we could have been they could have like saved all those people in mass or something and done something more interesting than fighting like that. But here's the two things that really bothered me. The first one was the passage of time was uneven. When that rift was on screen and it was going across the bay, it was going like 600 miles an hour. And then you go cut away to Superman for 5 minutes and they cut back to the rift and it's went like 3 inches. And then all of a sudden it goes at 900 miles an hour whenever it's being on screen. So I'm like, okay, let's kind of slow it down a little bit because all I could think about when Superman was fighting is I'm like, that rift is halfway across the world by now at the rate it was moving. So the city's gone, you know. That's a passage of time thing. And then this is the one that got me is Lex Luthor had, like Ked said, he had all 3,000, 2,500 moves that Superman does memorized so that he could program the clone to fight Superman. And yet in the end, he left fingerprints and was willing to he let a really dumb Eve Tessmacher outsmart him with her selfies. And I just feel like Lex Luthor should have, and what I think would have also given us insight into Superman's character was Lex Luthor should have got away with it. Everybody would know he was guilty. And then Superman would be mad, yet unlike all these other heroes, Superman would go, okay, you know what? I can't beat him up because legally we can't catch him and he has rights. And that's always the thing about Superman is Batman would go, okay, fine, you got away with it. Bam. But Superman doesn't do things like that. And I always thought that the super genius all of a sudden getting outsmarted by an idiot, to me, that was something that reminds me of like a movie when you're watching two marksmen fight each other. And then at the very end, the bad guy can't shoot anything and the good guy beats him, and so to me I would have loved Lex Luthor to get away, and everybody knows he's guilty but they couldn't prove it. But maybe James Gunn just wanted a self-contained movie versus what Marvel did where all these movies are interconnected. So I don't know.
See, so I'll take the other side of that. Original Superman. Remember who Gene Hackman as
Yep.
Lex Luthor, right? Who ruined him? It was the girlfriend.
Yeah.
In Kevin Spacey as Superman or as Lex Luthor in Superman Returns, right? Who messed him up?
The script.
Yes, but also that member is the girlfriend. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's like I think that sometimes. See, I always take it as I like that a little bit because my perspective is Lex Luthor doesn't think about that type of minutia because those dumb people don't matter
Right.
to him.
That's fair.
He doesn't think they're worthy of worrying about because they're too stupid for him.
Right.
And she is just eye candy, right? And an arm trophy. So when she obviously was smarter than he thought as it went on. The one thing I didn't like, the friggin' suit. Like, what kind of suit is that?
I was worst
It looked
superhero.
like it literally looked like he took some socks and like his mom sewed him together so he'd have a Superman suit for Halloween. That's almost what it looked like. It was that bad.
The neck reminded me of the new Star Trek, the first year when they had Captain Pike, and they had that weird collar because the whole time I was watching Superman, I kept thinking like, oh man, I would be like going like this. And I thought, man, that corn sweat, he is a disciplined guy because I'd be tugging at that collar every 3 seconds.
Yeah, I just didn't like the suit. It didn't, and I understand that you don't have to have the fake muscles. I'm okay with that kind of thing, but man, that suit got to be better than that.
I mean, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos about that. They wanted to do that old school look. That was one of the reasons. But in today's technology, with all the things they have, I wouldn't have done that because it looked old, looked dingy. It didn't look, and he's not the biggest guy in the world either. Which I'm not. I don't look like that, obviously. But my point is, the suit didn't help, and his physique didn't help. I bet when they make the next one, they'll probably make the adjustments because. I've seen, I watched a lot of videos, and they really wanted to do that old school look to bring that back. But I didn't like it either, fellas. It was kind of dingy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and so now we have the opportunity. Of course, I don't know. I would have ranked that like a 3 out of 4 star movie. I very much enjoyed it. Thought they did a nice job, and I don't know where you guys would rank it, but I thought it was enjoyable and a good movie, and was very happy that I went to it. And I thought they captured the spirit of Superman, especially when the kaiju, he was trying to figure out how to catch it without hurting it or without killing it. And then in the middle of the fight, when he flew at super speed to pick that squirrel up so it didn't get stepped on. I just thought that was hilarious. But that is Superman. He's got that benevolence like that. And I thought it was a lot of fun to see how he showed why he's
Yeah.
different than a lot of the heroes.
Yeah, there are very few heroes like him. You know,
Captain America, Superman.
That's true.
yeah, I mean,
That's those two.
they're who just are worried about the little guy, and it's always about preventing loss of life. But and they actually tied that in. I thought it was really good. They tied it in. It was like almost like some people looked at it as a negative, him wanting to save life. Well, if I didn't
Yes.
do that, then people would die. Yeah, but I mean, so I thought that was good. But yeah, I agree with you. It did really capture him well. I
The
thought
one
that was
thing I
good.
wish they would get rid of all of these is they kind of overdo it. Superman is there to save everybody. Then they go with this alien look. He shouldn't be here. Government should have rights and all this blah blah blah. I mean, we just literally sat here and looked like fools because he did. He saved the squirrel. You know what I'm saying? So he's not out to hurt people. He's not out. I mean, and that part I thought was kind of good when he talked about when he was being interviewed by Lois Lane, his girlfriend or whatever she is, that he's here to help people, and he's proven that. So I think sometimes when you watch it, they go overboard with, oh, let's bring him in for questioning and all this kind of stuff. Come on, I mean, let's be honest with you. I mean, you know what he is, but I guess you need that plot for the movie, and it's been that
But
way.
I'll tell you what, kid. Though, think about human nature. Though, think about human nature.
You're right.
It is our human nature to vilify someone that is different than us, and we do it. I mean, even if we don't intend to do it. I mean, so I think it's like, and then when you have somebody like jumping on and piling on, we all just kind of follow the masses, right? Whether it's a political leader, whether it's a star athlete, whatever it is, we jump on and we love to like diminish, because we feel like nobody's that perfect, right? And so we
The
always want to
only
have that to bring.
Yeah, the only thing better than building them up is tearing them down.
It
You
really,
know?
and that's right. And it's sad. I'm not saying it's good. It's not a good human quality. But we do that a lot with people that we say, oh, they're different. They're different. And I don't know.
I get
I-
what you're saying.
Because there are
I
a lot of
also will
people
say,
who, how would we
one thing-
respond to an alien?
Yeah, exactly.
Hi,
Exactly.
by the way, I'm an alien. Yeah. So
The alien that can do whatever he wants, and through the grace of God has decided he's not going to take everything over. But I think the interesting thing I like to do is they did wrap up shooting on this in July of last year. So it's not like, they I think they wrapped up roughly about now or the start of August last year. And for those people who, I happen to be a guy who reads comic books, and I've got my collection goes back to the 70s. The Lex Luthor incarnation that hates Superman because he's an alien and he shouldn't be, in control and have the influence, that dates back to at least the late 80s, early 90s. So this is not some new phenomenon. And if anybody's trying to tell you that, oh, this is made for a certain reason, this is the Lex Luthor Superman battle that's been going on for at least 30 years. It's not a brand. Now, it may seem more timely today, but they've been doing
no
this for
question.
quite some time.
The other thing that I like that they left open is the Zod, the chance for Zod to come. Who I thought was just, I thought in Man of Steel, and I thought in but Superman 2,
Yes.
back was really good. I thought Zod was really good there, and to have that option again, I think it's pretty cool. They left that open for the future, and
Yeah,
I think that'd be fun.
I didn't like the change of Ultraman because basically Ultraman was it was really more of a Bizarro, to be honest, because Bizarro's a failed
Yeah,
clone of
yeah,
Superman.
yep.
And then Ultraman's actually a Superman from another reality who comes to this reality. So I was actually hoping when I heard Ultraman was in it, I was kind of hoping for that Ultraman. That was a disappointment, but I'm a comic geek or a comic nerd as Bill Moe mentioned. So I was hoping for maybe a more of a comic book related Ultraman, because then you've got a whole Justice League on this other planet where wrong is right and right is wrong. And I thought, boy, that'd be awesome to have Ultraman come over and then, a later movie bring back the rest of his friends and try to take on Superman and his friends. But all in all, I think it's a really good movie. And I will tell you, this year, there have been two movies I thought that stood above the others. One was Sinners, and the other was F1. And now this movie was very good. And then I am looking so forward to the Fantastic Four because they've got the best character in all of comics. Galactus will be the bad guy. So I am so looking forward to this movie. I just didn't like the casting of the Fantastic Four much at all. I just am not a huge, I like Pedro Pascal. I just don't think he looks like Reed Richards. I don't really, the Johnny seems, I thought Chris Evans nailed him in the last one.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and I actually thought Michael Chiklis as the Thing was pretty good. I don't know. I would have probably tried to
Very good.
special effect him in. And then the only one is Jessica Alba, maybe one of the most beautiful women in the planet. I didn't find her very beautiful or very believable as Sue Storm. And I'm still out a little bit on this new one, but like I said, so far there's nobody in the main cast that I think is the ideal. But again, they're talented actors. We'll see what they can do. But I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so
It should be
I'm
fun.
really looking forward to that.
Won't be long. Won't be long.
No, it will not. Well, folks, we will be back next week. We'll try to do it either Sunday or Monday. Ked?
Yeah, before we close, I was texting Corey Bradford, and he wanted me. I told him, asked him if it was okay to say this. I showed him who the number 1, 2, and 3 was to tie. He said the number 1 shooting guard in University of Illinois history is the original number 13, Kendall Gill. That's what he thinks. He wore number 13 and Kendall Gill. He saw the list of all of us. He thought Kendall Gill was number 1. So people out there who think, former line out there not watching and what we're doing, you know what? There it is. So I just want to pass that on before
and Ked, give Corey my phone number because we've had on Eddie Johnson. We've had on Kenny Battle. We've had on all these Doug Altenberger, Derek Harper, all these great Illini. We need to get Corey on. He needs to be there. He needs to be there. We got to do that. I'd love to do that some evening and do a nice podcast on that. We'll be back next week with the 3 position, small forward position. It's going to be another knockdown drag out when you start looking at Nick Anderson, Eddie Johnson. Holy cow, is there some talent that one we're going to be debating as well. So I can't wait for that. So
should be fun,
folks. Yeah, folks.
Whatever I pick, and the other guys don't have your choices too. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just don't put Kofi in there, Brad, and then we find out that we have to redo all of our 3s.
Kofi was a 2 guard. Kofi's a 2 guard. That's what he wanted to be a 2 guard.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, Kofi's there. We'll get Morez out there. There we are. All right, folks. Well, until next time, folks. Go Illini.